Have you ever really thought about what it takes for someone to risk their own life, not for money, not for glory, but for a humanitarian idea? It's a really deep ethical question. And today, we're going to dive into it by looking at one of the riskiest missions in the world.
And this really gets to the heart of it all, doesn't it? It's the one question that frames our entire conversation today. Is it ever okay to risk everything, your own life, for a cause that's meant to help other people? It's a tough one, forcing us to weigh the life of one person against a much bigger principle. So, to unpack all of this, we're going to break down the analysis into 6 key pieces. We'll start with the mission itself, then walk through the 4 main justifications they present: legal, social, moral, and psychological. And then we'll see what the source's ultimate conclusion is.
Okay, first things first. Let's get right to the heart of the matter, the Sumwood Freedom Flotilla. You gotta understand, this is not just any old aid mission. It is a direct and frankly dangerous challenge to a conflict that's been going on for a very long time.
And the name itself, Sumud, it's an Arabic word that means steadfastness or perseverance. And that's not just some random label. It is the absolute core philosophy that drives these activists to face, well, incredible odds. It's all about refusing to give up.
And let's be clear, the reality of this mission is incredibly stark. The goal, of course, is to deliver aid and show solidarity, but the known risks are severe. We're talking military attack, detention, even death. And this isn't just a guess. It's based on the tragic history of the Mavi Marmara incident, where a very similar mission ended in deadly violence. So, knowing all that, how on earth does the analysis justify this? Well, let's get into the first argument, which is all about taking a stand on international law. You see, the source doesn't frame this as an act of aggression. They see it as a form of global civil disobedience. The blockade on Gaza is viewed by many as a clear violation of humanitarian law. So this flotilla, it becomes a real physical attempt to stand up for principles that big global institutions have pretty much failed to enforce. And this quote just nails it. What good are principles if they only exist on paper? According to this view, these volunteers are paying an incredibly high price to try and turn humanitarian law from just a theory into something real, something tangible. Okay, so the second justification moves from the courtroom, so to speak, to the court of public opinion. The argument here is that the mission's real value lies in its power to grab the world's attention. The analysis leaves out a pretty clear chain reaction, which you can see right here. It all starts with this very high-profile act. That act guarantees global media coverage, and that coverage, in turn, exposes the injustice of the situation to everyone, which finally helps build the diplomatic pressure you need to actually create change. So this really boils down to a utilitarian argument. It's a tough calculation for sure, but the idea is that the immense risk taken by a small handful of people could potentially save thousands, maybe even more, just by forcing the world to stop and pay attention. All right, let's shift gears to the third argument. This one is less about strategy and media and way more about a deep, personal sense of moral duty. The analysis actually points to 2 very different ethical frameworks. On one hand, you have the Islamic concept of jihad. Now, it's really important to understand this in its broad context here. We're not talking about armed conflict. We're talking about a personal and a community struggle against injustice, where sacrificing for others is seen as a noble act. Then, on the other hand, you have deontological ethics from Western philosophy. This basically says we have a moral duty to do the right thing no matter what. And from that point of view, just standing by and doing nothing while people suffer, well, that's a bigger moral failure than taking a risk to help. So the fourth and final argument in the analysis says we've got to look beyond the cargo on these ships. This mission is about so much more than just physical aid. You know, this part is all about the symbolism. The aid isn't just rice and medicine. It's a delivery of hope. It's a powerful message to a population that feels trapped, telling them that the world has not forgotten them. It's an act that shouts, "Your dignity matters," right in the face of oppression. And that right there, that's the emotional core of this whole argument. Can you imagine? For the people on the receiving end, seeing those ships appear on the horizon is about way more than what's in the cargo hold. It's living proof that solidarity is real and that their struggle is being seen. Okay, so we've walked through these 4 really powerful arguments. After all that, where does the analysis ultimately land? Let's pull it all together. Well, the final verdict from the source is pretty clear. This is not seen as some reckless, suicidal gesture. Not at all. It's presented as a very calculated risk, taken on purpose.
for a goal that's seen as much more profound than just individual safety, upholding human dignity and international law. And this is really the powerful final thought from the source material. It suggests that in a world where laws and institutions can be silenced by raw power, maybe the courage of a few individuals acting on their conscience is the last true line of defense for our shared humanity.
Which kind of leaves us all with this huge, challenging question to think about, right? When the systems that are supposed to protect people break down, what is the true price? And maybe, what is the ultimate value of an individual choosing to stand up and act?